privately. So a little bit about the mythology of ancient Ireland. I wanted to introduce Lugh and Breed, my other patron, but I mean, today is just about Lugh. They were very prominent gods in the Irish pantheon, and both were prominent members of the Tuatha Dé Danann. The Tuatha Dé Danann means children of the goddess Danu, and they were the first deities of pre-Christian Gaelic Ireland. GB. They're in the Otherworld, quote unquote, but they interact with humans in the human world. So they're not in the Irish mythology. They're a little bit different than other pantheons, including I think the Christians, where deity is somewhere far beyond. I really feel strongly that at least this path, this set of deities are here interacting with us in the human world, and are happy to do so. And you know, their stories are of the time when they were humans interacting in a human world and became elevated. So it's almost kind of like they were saints, but and I encourage you to find your own experiences when you call these deities and see what you feel. You know, like I always say, because I think there are these deities tend to be a whole lot closer to us than deities from other pantheons that feel so much farther above us, you know, and untouchable. They dwell in the underworld, lots of underworlds. One the Irish underworld was called ÄngsingAw웬il, or I'm sorry, the Welsh it was called ÄngsingAw웬il. In Arthurian literature, Avalon, yay. Irish had several names, and I don't think they're all exactly the same places if you research them. The most familiar one, I think, is Tír God, also Magnell, ÍMaNNA, Tech Guin, etc. And this was a beautiful picture of the gods in Tír God or Avalon that I found. And you'll notice that while they seem to be somewhat ethereal, they also seem really human. And I don't think that's a coincidence. It's not just because we want to understand them, it's because we feel connected to them. And meet the Sídhe, the fairy people of Ireland, Irish folklore, who were said to live beneath the hills, and also the word sídhe is also associated with the mounds themselves in the hills, you know, a fairy mound. So it can be interpreted both ways. They were identified as a remnant of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and there are still today these ancient burial grounds, such as the Boyne, the Boyne Valley tombs like Newgrange and Ängsing and there's like 6 of them in this one valley, the Boyne Valley, which is just north of Dublin, which are entrances to the Otherworld realms. When Michelle and I went to Ireland, we were privileged to go to Newgrange. The other ones were closed. So if you ever go to Ireland and you want to go to the Boyne Valley, go after March, like April to I think September, because otherwise they're closed. We were there the last week of March, so close. But just being in the Boyne Valley itself is just otherworldly. And Newgrange, if you've ever seen pictures, it basically looks like a grassy mound with a wall of granite stones. That's all you really see from the outside, except for where the entrance is. And the entrance is it has this giant stone with these amazing spirals engraved in the stone, and then a small entrance. So even well, unless you're a child, you probably have to crawl to get in through this entrance, and you go down this little tunnel that's not very long, maybe I don't know, 10 feet. And then you come to this amazing room that's underground. So when you look at the roof of this mound, it's all these stones that have been meticulously placed thousands of years ago to be the roof of this temple. I call it a temple. They call it tombs. That's what they want to historically say. But to me, it's an amazing place of healing. It's a temple, and Newgrange is one of the oldest man-made structures on Earth. It's older than the pyramids by like 500 years. So I think it's 5,000 years old, something like that, if I'm remembering right. And there are little fireplaces inside that massive room, kind of little cubbies, and they found human remains in the cubbies, and that's why they like to think of them as tombs. And I'm like, you guys, if you'd only ask the psychics, hello. I mean, just it was a place of healing. It was a place where you brought your loved ones that were desperately sick or injured, and found you would find healing there, or passage to the next world. Anyway, amazing places if you ever get to go. And that's a great picture of the sídhe as we know them. And the sídhe are another whole conversation. I think that there's an amazing world of the sídhe. They are in this world, they're in the other world, they are in our houses, they are all around us. They have all kinds of little jobs, but it's another conversation. So who is Lugh? And I prefer the pronunciation Lugh, and that is what people in Ireland today pronounce it. I've also heard it pronounced Lugh in Ireland, and it kind of makes me go, ew. Just because, in modern day English, American English, we kind of go, ew, what a lug, it's a kind of a bad term. But the name Lugh is a really deeply, I didn't add there, but Lugh actually translates to light bringer, and has been associated with Lucifer, not the angel of, or the demon Lucifer, but the angel of light. So he, in Irish mythology, is portrayed as a warrior, a king, a master craftsman, a savior. He's associated with oaths, truth, the law. I associated him with the Emperor tarot card. He's also a sun god, like Cernunnos or Apollo, and the sun card in the tarot as well. I think encapsulates a lot of his beautiful qualities. He is linked because he founded the harvest festival of Lughnasadh in Ireland, which bears his name. And actually, Lughnasadh translates to celebration. Lughnasadh is celebration. And actually, a little bit more about the history is his mother, whose name I can't pronounce, Tilutu. Anyway, his mother was this amazingly strong woman who mowed down or managed to uproot a section of trees so that they could plant wheat and corn for their harvest. And so she and she died of her exertions. And so Lugh founded Lughnasadh as a celebration of her and a celebration of the harvest, and honoring her efforts in bringing the corn and wheat to the society. And it's also kind of like a mini Olympics where they would have feats of strength and speed, those kinds of things proving themselves. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The most common epithets for Lugh are Lugh of the long arm or the long hand. He had an amazing magical spear that was his claim to glory on the battlefield. It also references his ability as a ruler, that emperor. And please don't ask me to pronounce that. Equally skilled in many arts, which we'll talk about in a second. So at the height of summer, with the sun in Leo, we feel our strength, our courage, our fire. I'm going to share a few personal stories about Lugh, and we'll do a little invocation of him, and we'll see what happens. And again, these are my opinions based on my experience. Your opinions and your experience are totally yours to own, may and can be very different, and that's cool. I encourage you to call Lugh and see what you experience, because he's such a diverse god with so many abilities. They don't counteract each other, but some people feel some of the characteristics more than others and have amazing experiences, and that's what spirituality is all about, in my opinion. So Lugh's the emperor. I personally have felt that a lot of the challenges in my life have had a theme of justice. I've been a victim in so many ways, as an abused child, a bullied kid. I've been beaten, robbed, carjacked, taken advantage of, and booted from every Wiccan circle I've ever been in, and every high priest I've ever worked with. I have a great record, don't I? And I've been in a lot of so many unfair situations in my 40 years in the IT industry, which is incredibly cutthroat. And all of that has slowly changed since I began calling Lugh into my life. I'm not saying everything has instantly stopped, but if I look back over the last, I'd say 15 years, there's been this upward progression of learning and strength and justice in how things have unraveled in my life. As we all know, there's no shortcuts in spiritual life. You know the drill. You cry, "Help, universe," and the universe offers help that we ignore. "Help, universe," and then they offer us a similar challenge, which we whine about, right? And the key is always deep reflection, and then seeing and taking ownership of our shit. And then when we think we learned something, then the universe sends us more similar challenges to make sure that we learned, right? Sometimes we see how far we've come, and sometimes we see how far we still have to go. Stephen just this past week has seen me in the throes of a giant learning experience at work, which showed me both how far I've come and how far I have to go. So, and for those of you that have been on the tarot calls, here's the Emperor card from my Pacific Northwest tarot. Feel his line energy. Look at that. Leo the lion, and stare deep into those eyes. Don't you feel the emperor, the strength, the piercing gaze? Are you innocent? What did you do in this situation? Right? That's Lugh. Yeah. Lugh is at the same time the most fatherly, wonderful, priestly hug of energy and support. And at the same time, also what did you do in this situation? Are you 100% innocent of any wrongdoing? Um, so I've talked about this, I think, a number of times. A magical justice situation that happened to me when we were carjacked at gunpoint at the grocery store. I called ĩnh aːw, and this was before Lugh. But I feel like if I had called Lugh, I would have had a similar result. I just called ĩnh aːw and asked for justice. She's the Egyptian goddess of justice that would weigh at the pearly gates. She would weigh your soul against a feather, and if your soul weighed heavier than a feather, you weren't allowed in. Anyway, yeah, if you need justice, she's amazing. But anyways, in my case, they caught the guy with my car. I got my car back, and he got 18 years. How often does that happen in California? Like never, ever. They almost let him go. The original cops that arrested him were like, we got murders to solve. We can't be bothered with the carjacking. Freaking California. So I first encountered 2008 when most of my group at work was under investigation by the HR department for selling company secrets and creating a hostile environment. Yeah, that was fun. And I was really torn between squealing on all my coworkers or resigning, and I really didn't know what to do. So I called Lugh, and he told me to resign. So I resigned. I gave 2 weeks notice, and before those 2 weeks were up, I was offered a job in another group at the same company with a huge career boosting step up and healthy raise. Was that divine justice? I think so. I think so. I would have never gotten anything if I had taken on the justice of that situation. Oh my God, people were getting fired right and left that didn't deserve it because, the people that were selling company secrets and doing dirty things were making sure those people that could squeal were getting fired. Anyway, just one of the many awful things I've encountered in this industry. But I do think when you invoke Lugh, he will bring justice if asked, but I think his beautiful emperor energy, when you call him into a situation, instantly brings you courage and conviction and clarity, like you're the emperor sitting on the throne and looking at the whole situation from a 10,000-foot level. I'd get really deep insight of what's happening. And I think pulling his energy also gives me that connection, that feeling of having many skills or tapping into the people around me with many skills and long arms. It's a great metaphor. So Lugh's also associated with oath and truth and the law. He is stern about oaths. If you make an oath or a promise and you break it, especially if your oath was to Lugh, expect the butt kicking, or at least a very serious and extremely fair review of what happened, right? In my case, I'm usually like maybe 10% guilty and the other person's 90% guilty, and I'm too willing to take on more ownership of what happened than is fair to me. And so I think he teaches me to be fair to myself. And he also makes me look at my oaths and really, look for the clarity of whether I was being unfair to myself or unfair to the situation or unrealistic. So reviewing the fairness of things is something he really enjoys, and I kind of get sick of after a while. Sorry, Lugh. Um, as I've grown with Lugh's strength, I've received lessons in sovereignty, that blessed feeling that my power is mine to own. Many of us feel a sense of terror and powerlessness with negative spirits around us or negative people. One of the ways that my dad abused me was that he would send entities to attack me and harass me, even as a small child. I remember this. And that's a really terrible place for a child or an adult. Even no matter how versed you are in what's happening, it's terrifying. And one of the things that Lugh has taught me is that my power, my energy are mine to own, and I can order these other energies around just by saying, I now command that anything less than love be 100% removed, healed, and uncreated. It's something I say several times a day. um, and and that goes for anything negative, I feel, but I have trouble remembering to do it, and I'm still there. So anybody like Stephen sees me in a bad work situation, feeling a lot of fear, remind me I have sovereignty. I have control over the situation, and I do think that those of us that are sensitive are maybe more afraid of that and tend to give away our power more, to either people or even deities that we think are more powerful, and we just, we hand over our energies thinking that we're being devout, and that's not devotion. That I think that I don't think that you're doing yourself a favor by giving over your sovereignty, as Tracy has been teaching us, right? Yay, Tracy. So think about situations in your life right now that are related to justice or doing the right thing, or seeing things really clearly. And ask yourself if you have moments of terror where you forget your sovereignty, and maybe consider calling Lugh. Lugh is the sun. So this is, I think, one of my favorite aspects of Lugh is his amazing sunshiny presence. When I feel lost or sad or down or hopeless, I know I can call Lugh and just be uplifted with warmth. It's the most amazing fatherly, priestly support hug. And this is the sun card from the PNW deck, which is this amazing swan. I should probably make it a little smaller. Oops, no, come back. There. So, that beautiful energy of the sun helps to uplift us, feel positive, look up to the sky and dream, and feel free, feel that amazing energy of light and freedom and positivity. And I think those are all beautiful Lugh qualities. I associate him with the citrine crystal, because citrines are beautiful, beautiful feeling of warmth, positivity, and cleanliness. Here's my beast of a citrine, and this citrine is I've dedicated to Lugh, and I like to honor Lugh with little citrines when I make a promise or an oath, um, because citrine is so cleansing also, and gives me clarity. So I may be sitting here without the citrine in my hand and Lugh around me saying, I want to lose weight. How come I can't lose weight? Wow. And then I'll hold the citrine and I'll call Lugh and I'll go, I want to lose weight. And I'll start seeing the things that I need to see, to rectify a situation, or at least improve things. And I think that's what citrine brings. So, you know, any gold crystal, like this is tangerine calcite, and this one's called butterscotch calcite. I think have many of the same qualities. At least I feel like both of these are uplifting and positivity kind of energies. I'm not sure they give me cleanliness though, like citrine. You know, I mean, the original reason I bought that big citrine slab, by the way, at that place, Northwest Rock Hounds. Melissa, if you've ever been there, wonderful place for buying rocks in Shoreline. Citrine is traditionally the witch's place or the witch's crystal to do cleaning. You know, I bought that slab so I can put a a religious tool or a statue even on it and have it be cleansed of whatever it came with. Oh, anyway, this is also another favorite citrine that you can even see the golden ore in it. You can see the price tag that I just bought for what I like doing with double pointed crystals is to point one end at my heart and the other end out at some focus, some wish or visualization, and feel the energy going back and forth. And citrine is also very commonly heated to look gold, but is, by the way, when you buy citrine, get to know the feeling of what real citrine feels like, because a lot of citrine today is amethyst that's been heat treated to turn gold, and it doesn't feel the same. I don't know if you can see this in this baby. It's got rainbow inclusions in it also, and lots of layers of the ore, the citrine ore, which I forget what that's called, and the clear quartz. And it's also got tiny veins of something that I can't identify. But isn't it interesting how the tip has the deepest concentration of the citrine ore in it? I don't know if you can see it very well, but anyway. Another thing that I enjoy about Lugh is I hear him giggling. I think he's been known to be a prankster. And the giggling is like he just pulled the best prank. Like someone's about to sit on, you know, some mud or something. There's this boyish fun about him. And what's fun and also infuriating to me is that when he likes to pull pranks on me, it's more about making me rethink what I'm doing, or like putting my keys in a bad place to make me stop and not go to the grocery store and do something else because something else is more important, like the dog chewing something up that she shouldn't be eating. I don't know, but there is that quality about him as well. It's not the deceitful kind of trickster, like coyote energy. It's just much more of this lightness of energy. And that sunshine energy is, of course, associated with abundance. And I feel like it's not the energy of being a bazillionaire and living a fancy life, but that feeling of comfort and security. Lughnasadh, as we were mentioning, is a celebration of the first harvest of wheat and corn and berries, and everything that's growing right now. excuse me. Back in the day, when a good harvest meant we'd eat well and possibly survive the winter, having a good harvest was, tremendous. It was everything. And there's when you grow something that you end up eating, excuse me, there's that feeling of satisfaction and pride because we're taking care of ourselves and our families. Um, it's that feeling of abundance that I feel after even grocery shopping, or especially when harvesting something I've grown. It's it's that, we're going to survive. It's, we're not going to be hungry, at least not today. Not today, Satan. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. Um, and I never had a father or a high priest, as I mentioned, who acted with integrity in hard situations, who loved me with fatherly support, and who were true emperors or sons. And I think personally, that's why I chose Lugh, or Lugh chose me. I feel like meeting Lugh was meant to teach me what it's supposed to be like. Think about it in your life. Did you have that experience? Another big thing Lugh is big on is teaching and sharing. We've all got something to teach and someone to support and uplift. This world is desperate for more emperors and sons. Lugh is the many-skilled. So in one of the legends about Lugh, the big one, he goes to Tara and he tries to enlist in this big battle that, of course, he not only enlists, but he wins the big battle, and that's what makes him a god. Anyway, but they asked him what his skills were at the gate at Tara, and he says he was good with a spear. But they said they already had spear throwers. So then he said he was good at blacksmithing, but they already had those two. He goes down this long list, and he keeps being denied. But then he says, "Do you have anybody with all of those skills?" And they didn't, so they let him in. And that's part of the joy of Lugh, is that he is the many-skilled. Another challenge that Lugh brings to me is knowing my skills. I've always been super critical of all my efforts in anything, be it art, music, even IT, which I've been in for 40 freaking years. But when I feel down or bad about something I've screwed up, Lugh loves to help me think fairly about whatever it is, and encourages me to try again, but with learning from my mistakes and encouragement, And that central core message of fire from Lugh, it says, honor that fire or that desire, the dream within you. Honor what's driving you to, create art or music or whatever, build a website, deploy something amazing for cancer research. But stop taking it personally and just try again. Stay in the facts. So that's kind of my general conversation about Lugh. This is my daily chant, which I'm going to take a break and we're going to do. I'd like to walk you through it. And when you're feeling it, there's also some advanced Lugh techniques that you might try if you're feeling down. Just call Lugh using the above words or whatever's in your heart, and see how you feel. If you're feeling hurt or betrayed or fearful in a situation, offer Lugh a citrine. Tell him all the facts. Make your pledge. Be 100% truthful, and offer that citrine to Lugh, and be serious. If you feel a sense of lack and need abundance, make an offering to Lugh with grain, wheat, corn, fruit, seeds, especially something beautiful that you've grown. My offering to Lugh today is I don't know if you can see this, almond flour, scone that I made with the blueberries that we gathered at Vicky's house a week or so ago. And also think about your talents. Do you sing, cook, paint, develop websites? Think about what you've done and think about, do you celebrate it or do you mock it? Do you honor your work? You can decorate your altar with things that you've made or items related to your skill, and give that as an offering to Lu, who's the god of craftsmanship. And if I can reach it, something I made years ago is this doll that represents me and my struggles and my pain, and I, after meeting Lu, added this spear in my hand there that's tied with a rainbow ribbon. You probably can't see, but anyway, just something I made, and it ain't perfect, but neither am I. And I like to put it on my altar and remember myself, my power, my sovereignty. Oh, and down here is a sunshine offering of bread that I had made for Lughnasadh last year, but in the shape of a sun. Let me make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. There, I think it's a little better. And is it a coinkydink that it's slightly burnt? No. Because working with the sun, working with fire, you will get a little bit burnt. Your fingers will tinge, but you'll be stronger for it. This bread was stronger for the infusion of fire. Anyway, so that's that. That's the lecture. Why don't I stop recording and